Are more gun laws the answer? Today we're talking all about gun control.
I have some questions for you. Hey, brave girl, how you do the things that you do?
Welcome to the Brave Talk Show. Brave women, bold topics, nothing is off the table. In today's episode, we are talking all things gun control. Will more gun laws be the answer? I don't know. We're going to weigh in. It's a powerful episode, so if you like it as much as we think you will, smash that subscribe button so you can connect with us on future episodes as well. But first, we're going to do our favorite subject, or favorite segment, and that is, I want you guys all to tell me an irrational fear that you have.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh. Irrational fear?
Irrational fear.
Irrational fears.
All right.
I've
got mine. And I actually didn't even know about it until like maybe about a month or so aago. I was like doing some trauma, like unpacking and like getting down to the roots of all my issues. And I got down, I was reading this book called It Didn't Start With You. And it's all about generational trauma. And I was going through the book and I uncovered my deepest, darkest, most irrational fear. And that is that I would do something horrible that would make my husband and my children just hate me. And they would abandon me and I would die alone and I'd probably kill myself. That's like the deepest, darkest, horrible fear. I know. It's nuts. And so, there it is.
Okay. That's big.
I know.
What's yours, Britt?
Mine is, ever since I was a little girl, this is an irrational fear that I've always had, that I would ask somebody to do something for me and they would die doing it. So like, if I asked my mom to make a special trip to the grocery store to get me something, where she wasn't going to the grocery store before, I specifically asked her to go to, I made her go to the grocery store, she dies on her way, it's my fault, I should have never asked her to go to the grocery store. Jeez. So then it made me second guess every time I asked something of somebody, I would be like, what if they died doing it? Will I be able to live with myself? Like, it was just,
I have two. One is every time I use the restroom in a porta potty.
oh no.
My irrational fear.
It's going to tip over?
No. Is that there's like a man hiding down there.
Do you look? Do you actually look in the hole
I
every
always
time?
get my flashlight and look, and that's disgusting.
Stop it!
I can't.
No.
You cannot flip your booty and sit down if you don't know if an anaconda's coming up.
You stick your flashlight in it?
What if there's something down there?
And there's always somebody that took
There
a
is
big
stuff
old
down
dump
there.
right before you went in there.
Exactly.
Oh,
So that's my irrational fear. But
Oh my God.
a bigger irrational fear is that I'm going to die on an airplane. Every time I get in an airplane, I'm like, so this is it. I crash and burn today. Every single time. I'm in therapy. We're getting through it. But
I noticed death is like each one of ours.
Like mine is not that tragic because everybody is like dying.
Her porta potty's not dead.
could you imagine if you're sitting there and a freaking snake
know
or
what?
a big
I have to
spider or a
say-
man? No.
I have to say, I still remember, I watched a horror movie when I was in middle school at a friend's house. It was one of those sleepovers. I can't believe the parents allowed us to watch it.
Right.
But in this horror movie, I don't remember the name of it, there was a girl using the porta potty.
Uh-oh.
And somebody, I don't know how, but somebody like dumped it over.
That's
And
my
then
fear.
she's like running out of it and she's like covered. And I remember in my naiveness, I was like, are those leeches on her? But like now I'm like, no, it's turds all over her. But it was like really traumatizing. I still remember it to this day. So I get it. I get the porta potty fear.
Yes. Irrational, right?
I've never
Mine
thought of
is-
something coming up and getting me.
You will now.
Now you're gonna always
Every
think
single
about it.
time.
Rob.
I'm just scared of using them. I
Yeah.
always like, if I don't have to,
They're
I
so
will not use
disgusting.
them. Yeah.
No. Hold it.
My fear, I think it's like I am like on an island by myself. Like I've been told that I have to stay there for a year, and I'm in an island by myself. But the thing is, when it's time to go home, I don't want to go home. I want to stay on the island.
By
Sounds like a dream, actually. Yeah.
Like it's
Fear,
like,
fantasy.
it's like either, but it's scary because it's hard. But like I'm just afraid to go back to civilization because I don't want to go back to civilization.
Right. Right.
It's like
And
a
I'm
little
like,
bit
it's
of
scary
Castaway.
because then I'm like,
I
I'm
was
gonna
just
miss my
gonna say
kids.
that.
I'm like,
Right,
gonna
right.
miss so much. But I'm like, I wanna go back. But the fear of going back to, like, the
Civilization.
world civilization is like traumatizing.
That's a really good
Wow.
one.
Don't watch that
Wow,
movie with
B.
Tom Hanks then.
Castaway.
I know.
Right.
And Lost, the people. I'm like,
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it that your fear before you watched Castaway?
No, it was before that too. Like I was like, I'm gonna get like, you have to go to this island, stay by yourself, and I'm like, I know.
And then not want
I
to come
know.
back. You're gonna like it so much.
No, and then
This
I'm like,
is like a therapy session. Let's dig into this,
know, right?
Vanessa.
Yeah.
Actually, I
You're
do
scared
have
of being alone, and then you're scared you're gonna like being alone
like being
so
alone.
but I
much.
like being alone.
But
I
she's
know that
kind of
already.
introverted.
I
That's why
love-
she knows.
But
She's
it's
like,
the thing. I already love it. I love like in your house. Say, you want me to take the kids and go? And I'm like,
So did you like all the lockdowns during COVID?
no, I loved it.
I did too, actually.
I did. I'm like, if I don't have to
Go out.
I'm a
go
homebody.
places, me too. I'm that person in the phone that's like, oh, is it canceled? We're not doing it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Same. Or I'm like, I'd love to go to Hawaii, but you have to get on a plane. So I'm gonna stay home.
Yeah, see?
Good thing they're not porta potties at
Yeah.
the airport.
Oh,
Well,
gosh.
they're on the plane, Brittany. So two irrational fears in
Yeah.
one.
Oh man, that's
Oh,
horrible.
But there's
okay.
nothing
Do
in
you
there.
take a flashlight in the
that
plane
has-
toilet too?
Have you ever seen Snakes on a Plane? It's a movie.
Oh, that is true.
Go watch that.
Yeah.
No.
That is
No, I
true.
actually don't
that
check that
movie
one because
is-
it.
Yeah, I was
closes
gonna
so
say
fast. No
you
one's
can look
fitting
in there
there.
just fine.
Yeah.
You don't need a
Yeah.
flashlight.
Okay, so
for
I
that
do.
one.
This made me think of another funny one that I have. We'll just add it before we move on. Every time I see an avocado pit, I get this like feeling in my throat, like, what if I choked on it?
On
Every
an
time.
avocado pit?
On an avocado pit. Like, who would swallow an avocado pit? But I'm telling you, every time I see one, when I'm mashing avocado, making guacamole, and I see that pit, I get this sensation in my throat and this like, okay, I need to chop it in half or something. Like,
So like no one can choke on it.
yes.
Oh.
It's so dumb.
No.
It's like those 6-pack cans. I grew up with my mom cutting those in case they
So the
made it into
dolphins?
the yeah.
I love her already.
I know. Mom was wonderful.
She is amazing.
All right, let's jump into the heart of our episode today, which is gun control. We wanted to do this episode because of the recent shootings, but before we get going on all of that, I wanted to ask you, how many mass shootings do you guys think have happened already this year?
This year?
saw-
This year, it's June.
I think I remember like 30, if I remember reading correctly. It was like a ridiculous amount. And I was shocked because it's like, has this been on the news? I don't watch the news too much, but I think I would have heard this. But yeah, that's what I
think
heard.
15?
I think it was like 200 something, like 300 and like it was on the high hundreds.
Wow.
Like
250
Yeah.
ladies.
What?
Wait.
Yeah.
Just
Since
this year.
6 months into this year.
Yeah. it was
250
high.
mass shootings.
Wow.
This
And
is
when
in the
now
world
what's
or
considered
America?
a mass
More
shooting?
than 3 people. More than 3 people, right? I believe more than 2-3 people.
Wait,
Like
say
what considers it a mass shooting?
Yeah.
So here, there have been, I'm looking at the Washington Post. There have been over 250 mass shootings so far in 2022. So there was this one. So not a single week in 2022 has passed without at least 4 mass shootings.
Wow.
4 every single week, you guys.
Now, as far as like, you know, the data of overtime in society and so forth, is this the most, do any of you guys know, like, is that the most that has been over the years, or is it the same as last year? Like, where are we at on the spectrum of?
So here's the first 5 months of the year since I'm looking at a chart.
Okay.
In 2014, there were only 91 mass shootings in the first 5 months of the year. And then it's gradually gotten more and more. Last year, there were even more than this year.
I know it was like I think since like I think like in the 2020s, like since that like 2019 and on, it just been like it seems like it's a trend, right?
Right.
The numbers have just keep rising and rising.
And,
higher
well, and
higher.
it makes sense with thinking about the state of our country and how polarized we've become. Then you throw in COVID, and we were all at home, and just all of that. Like, if you've got any type of mental issues, like this is, I mean, we're seeing the fruit of that, right? Like, it seems like all of those are stressors adding to it.
So I've
mass
also
shooting is 3 or 4 dead. So that's considered.
that's
mass
what you were
shooting.
saying.
3 or
And
4.
there's been that many.
Yeah,
They
like,
didn't all make it on the news.
and yeah, I think the thing is we also don't want to. I think like we don't go searching them, right? Like that's the last thing.
So I
think
bet you could find them if you looked.
you can
but-
find them like the one that just happened like at the warehouse. It was the gunmen just come and shoot people at the hospital. Usually you wouldn't hear about those ones because it's so little, but because it was done after 2 big mass shootings, like where it
Right.
was like 10 people, 19 people, then you have more recollection. But like if you really go and look, it's like they said if you calculate it, there's at least 4 mass shooting like a week since we've been going.
So another stat was there are about 250 people that die from mass shootings a year, and about 1,000 people who are injured in mass shootings every year.
Yeah.
But when I've been really diving into this since that elementary school shooting, because I've just been so bothered by it, and I want to talk more about what you guys think about that specific situation with the police officers and everything like that. But looking at mass shooters and who they are and things that they all have in common, one of them is they idolize other mass shooters. And so because of our social media and because of our news outlets, they get ideas. So it triggers somebody's head like, oh, I could shoot.
And then they do it.
And then they research it. They found on all of the mass shooters, like if they go back and check their internet history and stuff, they find that they actually research it and find out how they got in, what did they do, what kind of gun did they use, they just study it, and then they go and perform it. There's a lot of other statistics that show that they always tell somebody. There's never been a mass shooter that has kept a complete secret. Like they always tell somebody about it.
Scary to think,
Or
like,
post on social media things
yeah,
that
some
would
kind
be
of heads up,
some kind of like after the fact, you're like, oh my gosh, that's what they were saying.
And that's, I think, with the one that just happened with the school, he talked to a guy that used to be like in the FBI, like some kind of.
He sent a private
Government.
message saying, I'm going to go kill my grandma.
Yeah.
Then
like
he came back and
literally.
said, I killed my grandma. Now I'm going to a school.
Yeah. Like he literally told somebody it.
And what did the person do?
They didn't get
Nothing.
the message in
They
time.
didn't get it in time.
Oh my, who
But
was
then
it?
but the thing is that they've had they've had conversation of him like talking to this guy about doing it, and he didn't do anything forward. Like he didn't and I'm like, in a world where you know that is a possibility,
You should say something.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
So with the mass shootings, with the numbers going up and up, that's what one of the things I think is why is because it's idolized. People get it in their head, and then they start toying with the idea, and seeds are planted every time they see it.
Yeah.
So what do we do about that? I mean, is that a call for, censoring this type of information, keeping it classified, minimizing details on the news, like just getting the big picture, but not like sharing all the nitty-gritty details? How does that fit with
And I think-
censorship law?
And that was the thing. I think that's the reason we're not seeing it, because I remember reading we think that's why they weren't putting them as much when they happen.
They're
Especially
trying to
if it
reduce
wasn't
it.
to reduce it. Like they do it, but then they remove it off the cycle because of that, because that was being said. But I think like we at this point, it's not like a if anymore, right? It's
So
like when it happened, right? And then one thing that really struck to me, and I was reading this article, and the dad or one of the kids that was at the school tell the mom, "What will my picture be?" Like that took me out. Like to know that, because he was in the classroom, like, and he got out, and then he's seeing all the pictures. They come and visit, and then he was leaving, and a child have to ask a parent, "What will my picture be?" Not because the understanding that may happen again, and it will happen. It will continue to happen unless something is done. And to think like you're sending your child to school, and to know that they're not gonna come home. Like, you know how, like, as a parent, to be sitting there and be like, there's a shooting at your kid's school. Like, that is like not every parent's fear. It's not just like a certain person. It's like
everybody's fear.
every
Everybody's fear.
parent's fear now in
yeah.
America.
So that leads me to ask you this more dilemma question, like your hot topic on the other episode. At that school in Uvalde, the police officers stood outside. They didn't go in. He was in the school
For 1 hour, 70 minutes.
by him, like nobody in. And did you hear about that mom?
That
who
ran
run
in.
in there, yeah.
It got her 2 kids. Like she got handcuffed, got him off, went in. It was like defying all of the
Heck
police
yeah.
officers everywhere she went. Like got her kids, marched in there, and got him safe.
Which is also surprising to me that she was able to get in the school, which goes to show they did not have enough. Like, if there was an active shooter, there would not have been one door someone would have been able to come in.
Well,
The
that's
fact
what
that
they
she
didn't
could
follow the
run
right
in.
She
rule.
said that they were treating the parent. They were more concerned with the parents outside of the school than they were with the shooter inside. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's wrong.
But then we have to go back a little bit to answer that question. He shot his grandma, right? And somebody saw it and called 911. Why wasn't there already an alert looking for that kid? Then not only that, within that time, he also got in a car accident by the school and was shooting across the road. So why wasn't there an alert? Like before he got to the school, there was 3 prior incidents within that 40 minutes. And you telling me he just shot his grandma, and grandma calling nobody called 911 to say this kid just shot grandma. He's going for, like, look for this kid and be on alert. And the accident happened by the school. I know here in Utah, there was a shooting close by our school, and the school went a straight lockdown.
Yeah.
So that should have been reported to the school so they can go straight. Then he was in the school parking lot. You can tell, like, him looking at doors, and he was shooting, and nothing. People were calling 911, and no officer. And then by the time you get there, he's in the school. I'm sorry, like your moral thing that you did earlier, you will have to put me in handcuffs.
Heck yeah.
Because especially if you're not in there, I am going into that school to get my children. Are you
100%.
kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like,
100%.
and the fact that mother was able to go into that school, once again,
Like, that's what I'm saying is, like, it's
walk
absolutely
into a
incredible
door.
she did it, but at the same time, why was that not locked down? There should be
Locked
no
down.
human able to get in that school
And even
unless
in
they
the
have a badge
classroom.
and, like, some...
Yeah, she got in the
She just
classroom.
Could have been the shooter.
And she said that she went and knocked on both her doors, and like the teacher cracked it. I'm like, no, you don't crack no door.
There's basic rules. Like I was a teacher for 13 years. We would do like lockdown drills. And we had to lock the door. You weren't allowed
You
to
do not
even,
knock
if
until
somebody
the
knocked, there
intercom
was
comes on.
Yeah, and then
But then also, and I think the thing too is a sports teacher, because we all can see her and be like, well, you know what I mean for these teachers. But I'm pretty sure in that moment, they probably like, there's a shooter. Kids, like, I'm responsible for all these kids. Like, what do I do? Like, because they probably were never expecting, like, there is a gunman in the classroom shooting. Like, there's this teacher that was talking, and he's like, I'm in the classroom, and I watch him shoot 11 of my kids. And shot him 3 times. And then, like, I think he comes back to it, like, why wait so long?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, what? Like, it's
I'm really
it's sad.
interested to see, like, as the more information comes out, if we can get more answers on why they waited so long. So I feel like right now we all have opinions on that, but there has to be some sort of like conclusion, right? And we don't have that yet. So up until then, like, what are each of your, like, do we need more gun control? What's the solution? Maybe each of us take a turn on what you think would help.
What it looks like, I guess.
I think it's there's so many layers, right? One, I am one of those people that are all for teachers being armed. Like, I think that as part of your teacher training, you are also taught how to have a weapon that would protect, and you got to go through all the rules and all the different things to make sure that you're certified. But that's
Do you think it
part
should
of the
be
certification.
mandatory?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
I've
think that's
had
part of
someone,
being a teacher.
come back and say, well, what if I'm a teacher and I don't feel comfortable? Then you never have to shoot that gun, but you better have it in your freaking room if my kid's going to be in your class, and you better know how to use it.
Right.
If you don't ever want to do it, cool.
Right.
If you're
and
against
obviously,
that,
there are going
but,
to have
like,
to be rules
you need
as
to
far
know.
as like. And I don't know all of this. This is something we'd have to work out. But like now we've got a weapon in the classroom. We've got kids there. Like, how do you work around that?
But it could be
thing,
totally locked down.
Yeah, there
But
can
we've
be all
had,
sorts
like,
of stuff
kids.
that happens.
I think I agree with that. Look, I don't think it should be mandatory. I think that if you're gonna have the teachers have gun, then maybe you might as well like pay people like to be outside security. Because I have the thing with gun is like, especially high school, you have a lot of kids that are going to trauma. Like, kids somehow get smart to figure out how to unlock things. They hack things. What does it get in the wrong?
Or what if they carry it? What if it's
but
like
there's
that's
already
part of
like
you have to
so
have
many teachers. I know there's teachers
what's
at
the
my
word?
concealed carry.
Concealed
There's
carry.
teachers at my elementary school that concealed carry, and in my 4th graders class who has a handgun.
Yeah,
with them at all
Utah
times.
allows it.
Yeah, I know it does, but I'm just like, I think there has to be a way, and that may be one of the way, but I just wonder, like, you would put a person walking down the hallway, and it's like crowded hallway, the teacher is concealed weapon, and that pickpocketing that teacher with that gun, and he's like, oh, where's my gun? And that gun now is in the hand of somebody that's already have trauma.
But that's already like in play. Like, there are teachers who are concealed carry.
Yeah, I
and
know
you're not
that, but
putting it
I'm
in your
saying-
pocket, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Well, you
typically
can.
strapped and it's on
Yeah,
in a thigh.
And
It's
if
it's
there's
not
a
something that
teacher
can be
who
just
is
snap,
like concealed carrying, they've gone through education, background check. Like, I would love to have someone in my kid's school who's carrying it all.
I think it's like, I get that. I think like, but I would say like, if it's better to put like a security, like give the school the resources to have security, because now
we
it's
secure
happening.
banks. We secure
banks.
Like, like why not?
Some grocery stores have people watching them. Can we not have the back door? There's somebody in the back. There's somebody in the front. Give the school the resources, and they can be voluntary, like officers, that's what they're trained to do.
Yeah.
And they're at the school for
And
that.
this is the sad part,
So then
you
the
know.
teachers can focus on teaching and not trying to do all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's just,
That's true.
So when I was working in California as a teacher, one of our neighbors was a police officer, and his job was to work at a particular elementary school. And one day he came home and he was like, "Well, I'm not working in there anymore." And I go, "What happened?" And they said that the budget cuts came in, and the first thing they cut out was
Is
police
the
officers
officers.
on campus. I'm
what
like,
I'm
that's
saying.
not in this era. Like that should,
We need
you know,
it.
like you don't need a new textbook again. I think you can handle using the textbook from last year.
Right.
You know, come on.
Yes.
So on your kid's school, so I feel really grateful about my kid's school. It's a newer building. It's about 5 years old. So every door is locked at all given times, and it is a hard rule. Like you cannot enter. So you walk into the front doors. Everything is locked and secure, bulletproof glass. You have to buzz into the office, and at the first of the year, you have to show your ID up to the camera until they kind of get to know you, and then they'll buzz you in.
That's how ours.
Which
is.
I love that,
Yeah.
but I still feel like there should be a secured officer who is armed at every school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And
someone could still, I mean, what if it's a crazy
Right,
parent?
right.
You never know.
Right.
Like a crazy parent could come in and put
And
their ID
then
up and then
you
boom,
go.
boom, boom.
And also,
Right.
those kids are smart too. And I think like they can find somebody's like, because our kids' school are the same. Like you can never go on the side doors. Like,
Yeah.
and the way they build it does not like back doors where access door people can enter to.
And still, you could go
But-
at recess. There's nothing stopping you from jumping a fence.
Exactly.
But I guess back to the question, back to gun control.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that was part of my answer. The other part of the answer is, or at least my answer, is I definitely think there's a psychological problem that's happening in our country. And I don't think that we bring in enough self-care into our schools, into just all of our institutions. I mean, we got rid of prayer, like back in, I don't know, was it the 60s or 70s? I'm not saying that we should like mandate prayer, but like what's wrong with having in our school system a time of silence every day, whether you are a meditator or a prayer, you know what I mean? Something that really like helps our kids just tap into something that gives them peace, and bring in more of this. I feel like our school systems, it's all like we teach them first, you're made from an animal, you're an accident. You got to do. You got to get good grades, and you got to go to college, and you got to do this. There's just so much pressure put on them, and then they're taught that they're nothing, and that they came from nothing. I think that all of it, and then you take away the opportunities for them to have peace. I think it's just a recipe for disaster, along with all the stuff that's happening in our social media. So I think bringing back self-care into our institutions at large, I think is going to be a really important part of our healing.
Yeah,
And that's
I
why
love
with
that.
my kids' school, thank goodness, I'm grateful because they go to private school and it's a church-based school. So they pray every morning. They do their scriptures there. They have some rules like where it's like really kind of, you walk in there, it's very like, they have their scripture study. They start every day with that, the prayer and stuff like that. So you kind of see a change of different on that, right?
Yeah.
And the kids, even when you walk in there, it's very respectful. Like, yes, ma'am, they open the door for you. Like, even when you go in there, it's very, and I see it in my kids. Like, this time, like, they recite things and, God is very present in their scriptures. So even, like, they don't have dating. They don't, like, they can date, but they can't hold hand in the hallway. There's no kissing. Like, and those kids follow those rules. They eliminate things that will lead to the bullying, the things that would lead to that. You know what I mean? And they take time to teach about the self-care
Right.
and take time to the kids to really, and I think, like you said, we need that. That is missing and we need that.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Brittany.
I agree with Teresa, just to start off with, about it's more comprehensive than just guns. It's think about the video games that we play these days. Think about the true crime podcasts that we listen to, or the shows that we watch, Criminal Minds, and like our society, our culture is fascinated with crime and with death,
Murder.
and that comes with repercussions that leaks in.
Yeah.
So the fact that the mass shooting numbers, oh gosh, now the baby's going. The fact that those numbers have gone up is not a surprise to me at all.
Mama, you got to stop talking.
I know, sorry.
Yeah.
She doesn't like it when she
Vera
talks.
want
Yeah.
to be part, but she doesn't want to be part of the conversation.
You want to tell us what your opinion is, Vera?
I agree with all of you. I thought a lot about this because it's very controversial and it's very layered. Like, I don't think there is a solution, but so right now in our world, there are people trying to change gun laws, and there are people trying to like take away guns altogether or make it more lenient, and like there is change happening. And so I've kind of just thought, like, where do I stand in this? So I own guns. We're pro-gun. Like, I think it's important to protect yourself. If you own a gun, I obviously think that you need to know how to use it. You need to be responsible. And this is what I was kind of having a discussion with the other day with a friend. I was saying, I actually don't think guns are what kill people. It's the people who own the guns. Just like cars are not what causes the accidents, it's the people driving the cars. And so I think there needs to be, as a gun owner who wants to still own my guns, I do think there needs to be a little more regulation on who can access them. So just like a car, we're not going to give a car to our 8-year-old, right? They have to pass a test, prove to us that they are competent enough to do it, show that they're safe. Same with guns. An 18-year-old should have not been able to walk into Sportsman's Warehouse and buy an assault rifle.
Right, there should have been a process.
And there's a thing that says, criminals will get them anywhere, they'll break in. Yeah, make it a little harder. Have that 18-year-old try to find an assault rifle on the black market. Right. You think he's going to be able to figure that out? Well, it's going to take a lot more work for him to do that.
Yes.
Don't freaking sell it to him at Sportsman Warehouse. Yes. So, as someone who owns guns, I would still like to own mine, but I better have a background check.
Yep.
You better look at all my social media and see if I've done anything shady. I better pass a test. I better take a course. I better prove to you that I can do it. And then you should check on me every year, just like I renew my license, that I'm still a good candidate to own a gun.
Yeah.
And anyone like me who owns a gun and they say, they're threatening me to take away my guns. My experience or my advice would be like, cool, take away the guns from anyone who is not mentally capable. Because I'm not worried about you taking away my gun. Because I can pass the test. I can show you that I'm responsible. I can show you that I am a responsible human. I guess there's doing something right now where the government, or maybe, and I apologize in advance because I don't know enough research on this, but my husband told me like they're actually trying to pay people now. Like they'll pay you to turn your guns in. And there's some people who are like, that's ridiculous. And I thought, absolutely pay people to turn your guns in. If you will take $75 to turn your gun in, you shouldn't own a freaking gun. Like if you're gonna own a gun, you better freaking know how to use it. You better do all these things. Like if you're dumb enough to be like, I'll take $75, okay, you shouldn't own a gun.
Right.
So absolutely turn it back in.
Right.
So I don't think they should take away guns, but as a gun owner who wants to keep my guns, regulate me. Make me pass all these tests. It doesn't scare me. I'll prove to you that I'm a responsible adult and I'm safe to own a gun.
Now here's a question that's, something to think about. Maybe it's legitimate, maybe it's not. I think I'm concerned about it. What happens, like who determines what type of questions are asked on these psychological evaluations? What happens if we get to a place in the future, because things are always changing, the climate's always changing, what's considered right and wrong and what's considered evil and all those types of things kind of change over time. If there's things that come up with, like if you're a conservative, for example, that's considered a danger, you shouldn't have a gun. Like those possible things that could happen.
I think the morality should be taken out of it and it should be just like getting a driver's license. Like it's standardized for everyone. We all agree on a benchmark time when you can get your driver's license was 16. Okay, well, an 18-year-old is legal in the United States to buy a gun, but we're not going to let them buy chew and alcohol, but they can buy a gun.
Doesn't make any sense.
So they can chew alcohol, or they can chew tobacco and drink alcohol before buying a gun. No, that should be last. So let's move the date back, like 21. When you're 21, you can then go and prove to everyone around you you're safe enough to drive a car or buy a gun.
Or maybe after your brain's fully developed at 25 or something like that.
And it's standardized. Like you have to take a course, a 4-week course. You have to learn everything about the gun you're going to buy, safety, how to use it, how to not misfire.
You have to buy a safe.
You have to buy a safe. Then
pass
you have
a test
to be,
where you're shooting and you aimed right.
Yeah, like
kind of
an
thing.
actual physical exam, just like you would driving a car. Like prove to me you can't crash this into the wall, right? Prove to me you know how to use your gun. And then prove to me that mentally it looks like you could pass a test. And there will always be people who get through, right? There's always going to be people who drive a car drunk and kill people. We can't protect everything.
I think
but if we make the entry to barrier a little bit thicker, I think it would help. Yeah.
I think, and I agree a lot of things you say. This is my thing on the whole thing. It's like, I think if we take all this like political things out of it, my God, like if we really just focusing on like the issue at hand, which is kids are dying.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like people are dying at the hand of, and some people, you have people that saying, well, it's not a gun thing. It's a mental health thing. It's not a this, it's a this, but it's just,
all of
it's
it.
everything.
It's all of it.
It's all of it.
Yeah.
It's a gun thing,
Comprehensive.
right? And I think we always have to go back to like, I love everything you say. Like in the United States, we're the only country with a problem with mass shooting. Other countries are not dealing with that because of the stuff you just said, like in
Their laws
Canada.
are harder.
The laws are harder. It's 21. You have an 18-year-old kid that just graduated high school, walk into a store, buy an AR-15, which is like a military gun,
It's
and then
like
you buy
an assault
375 bullets,
Right.
magazine,
Right.
to recharge that. He's never taken a test. He didn't have to prove anything.
Yeah.
And then he walked out. It has to start where it's like, and I think I always have to go back to this. Once again, it's just my mental health one in the home, where we are present as parents. We are busy. It's a family. Like, we all are trying to make it through life. But if we are present in the home, then we can see the sign, right? Be able to see it and be able to see it then and be like, oh, something is wrong there, and we need to address it. We need to give the school the resources. We need to start putting licensed SW in the classrooms and in the school to also, because when the parents are not home, kids are spending majority of the time at school. So then those counselors that are assigned to these kids can see those signs.
Yeah.
And then when those things are reported, and there's less funding for resources to provide the mental health, that's a big part.
Yep.
But then you have gun laws,
Yeah.
which right now we are fighting, like, we're really fighting about raising the age.
Like,
for-
raise the freaking age.
of age. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, people that go, if you have your gun and you are passing all the background,
you're not gonna
nobody's
worry
going to
about
come
it.
from your
Right.
gun.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is, like, my husband has
my,
we have
my dad.
every kind
my
of
dad
gun
has
possible.
a whole dang thing
Yeah.
full of guns.
Yeah.
in
But
my
he
house
said the
with
same
my
thing.
children. But I'm like, you do not threaten me by tightening up your laws because I am confident I will pass the test.
And if you're scared of your gun being taken away, then you shouldn't
should
have
have it.
them because
Yeah.
then you're not doing something right.
Yeah.
Here's the question, though. Do you believe that in the Second Amendment that it is a God-given right to own a gun?
What the heck is a God-given right to
No,
own a gun?
absolutely not.
Like,
You
this is
prove
where
to
we
me
have
that
to be
can kill
careful.
people.
Why are we trying to use religion?
Yeah.
This is why I have a problem. We're trying to use religion to make people feel like it's my God-given right. Like, we have a lot. It's a God-given right for these kids to be alive.
Yeah.
But somebody.
Well, I
didn't
think
do
the
it.
difference
Like,
is the
it's-
heart was of the Second Amendment, right? Was the right to bear arms, was
To protect yourself.
ourselves from a corrupt government.
Yeah.
Is really what it is. And so that's the reason why I am 100%, because I've seen history, and I do see that government can.
Right.
Of course.
So we
Oh,
should
yeah.
be able to,
Yeah.
right?
We should be able to.
But,
But an
when you're
18-year-old
talking about an
shouldn't be
AR-15
able to
for an
walk in.
18-year-old,
Yeah.
300 rounds, I mean, what we're talking about is that's not Second Amendment. I
That's
mean,
not-
that's
And even if
Second
they
Amendment.
kept it at
Regulate.
18, that kid wouldn't have walked into Sportsman Warehouse or wherever Cabela's and grabbed a gun. He would have had to gone to a 4-week course.
Yep.
He would have had to prove, and like it would have been likely that those type of people would have been weeded out, like, because they have mental issues, and like that's what I'm saying is, like, I don't think it's a God-given right, because God gives life and takes away his life, and I'm not God. I shouldn't be able to just go and kill a whole
Give
bunch
somebody-
of people.
exactly.
But I do feel it's important that I can protect my family, and if I can
somebody
prove
come
to
in
you
my
that I
home.
am responsible enough and I'm in a good mentally sane place to protect my family, then I want my gun.
And I think I say if we start, and I think people are trying to avoid also, I think, the mental health aspect of it, right? It's like, why not put resources in the school? Like, we are taking resources from school nowadays. But, and like I say, I hate talking politics, but we're sending billion to other people, right?
I
We
agree.
want, I'm
Let's
sorry.
take care of our
like,
own
I'm
people
gonna
here
say
for
this
a
and
while.
come after me if you want to.
Say
But
it,
there
girl,
was
be
a
brave.
freaking war in like a month ago. If Ukraine were to go, if Russia were to go against the United States, Ukraine would have been with Russia against us. They were never our allies. And I feel my heart goes out to those people because war is not okay. It's not easy. But at this point, too, we have a problem in our backyard. We
We're
have our own
arming them right
children.
now.
And
Yeah.
then we're saying, sorry, we can't help you.
We got to give
But
our
we're
money
going
to
to help
this
those
country.
people because those people can later help us. So you all sit over here. And we're supposed to be like, okay, cool. We're just going to keep watching our children die because you don't want to put resources into the school.
Right.
And we're saying we don't got no money. But here we are sending billion over.
And the balance
make
is off.
sense.
Going back to it, they cut the police officers. It's the first thing to cut. And again, being in the school system, I saw this happen over and over again. When budget cuts happen, counselors are one of the other ones
first
that
thing
they
to
cut,
go.
right?
The first one
and
to go.
yet their emphasis in the schools is get these kids into college. I mean, the school that I was at in California, and again, I don't know if this is for every state, but there's some commonalities in the public school system. They got rid of like electives, arts,
yeah.
and it's every class that these kids have to take are
It's
all
very-
A through G requirements so that they can get into a college. Meanwhile, they're stressed and they're killing each
Depressed,
other. You know what I mean?
doing
Like,
drugs, yeah.
why are we making it such an emphasis that 100% of our effort is to get them into college when there's so much more to a person than whether you go to college or not? That's
Right.
part of it, but that's not all of it. And we need to balance some things out with this. If we're going to have a public school system, we need to be taking care of the whole child, you know, in
Because
so many
you're able to
ways.
see those things. You're able to see the struggling kids because when you don't have the counselors, like right now you have counselors working as the one that makes schedule for these kids and get them the career advice, and like they don't do their job
But
as
not counseling.
therapists. They're not counseling. And these kids didn't have no
You're an
safety at
assistant.
school. Exactly. And so
That's
it's
exactly
like,
what they are.
why do we not put those, and then people are like, well, I want to put my kids in homeschool, which is great. I have nothing against homeschool, but then they lose that.
She's looking at me when she says
I
that.
did not look at it. There's
I'm just
nothing wrong
teasing.
with homeschooling, but I think then we have to protect our kids. We find a way to protect our kids when they're dealing with bullying and being made fun of at school, and then they're struggling. You have to be the parent that's like, I want to help my kids, but then now you're taking that kids from that social. You know what I mean?
It's like there's not like a perfect
exactly.
answer.
So like, can
Yeah.
we just not help our kids? Can we just please put aside all these BS noises and make it about what matters, which is this
With our
kid's
kids.
life
Yeah.
and their mental health?
So here's one of my questions for you guys, and this is something that I just can't get comfortable with, is having the government in control of how I protect my family. I don't trust the government. I literally do not trust the government. There's nobody that I'd trust less than the government.
Same with me.
They're arming Ukrainian citizens right now while they're disarming us. I look back in history, Hitler disarmed his citizens. I'm very Christian and I'm very public about it. What if all of a sudden the government decides that Christians are bigots and they shouldn't own a gun?
Right,
Or
and
they
that's now
shouldn't-
and that's now on the test, you know, to see whether or not you deserve a gun, and that's like, oh, you're Christian, we consider that actually terrorist.
So
And
how do we
therefore, you know what I mean?
work
So
around that?
I had that same conversation with Johnny last night because we were kind of going back and forth about it. And again, we own guns. So like we're both on the same page, but we have very different views. And he was like, well, what happens when they just decide to take away all of our guns? I said, that will never happen
That'll
because
never
there will be a
happen.
world war before that.
There will.
Yeah.
I
That will
agree.
never
There'll be a
happen. And I think we
revolution.
have to be
Before they
realistic
take away
about
our
it, yeah.
guns, all of us who own guns will revolt.
So with that goes back to me saying I support the Second Amendment, that I do believe that it is a right to hold a gun.
Right.
Yeah.
But at a certain mental age, if you can pass
And I
the
think
Yes.
that's, and I think when
Yes.
we look
There
at
you
it,
go.
Yep.
That's
but this
the
is
answer.
also what
Yeah.
people try making it to be scared about, right? And I think I love what Robin said. It's going to take a group of people because right now, I've watched all the debate on it. There's nobody saying they want to take their guns away. There has not been that said. So we also have to be careful because you have people that are afraid. Because one thing that I noticed was the key thing is let's raise the age limit.
Yeah.
We're not coming for your guns. We just
Right.
need that.
I
See,
think
I've
everyone
seen a
needs
lot
to-
of people say
No guns.
no guns,
Yeah.
take away all
I've seen
guns,
it too.
But there's a
no
whole
guns
group of people who
whatsoever.
say that. No
There
guns,
is.
no abortion,
But
no
they-
drugs. Okay,
yeah.
that will never
It will
happen.
never happen.
We live with 6 billion people.
It will
you
not
will never
happen.
get to a point where someone will come knocking at my door and have me turn it in.
What if they
We
make
will have
all
a
guns
war.
illegal though?
don't
Then you
think-
have the gun like drugs, and you have the
Then
black market.
I will
with-
illegally own a gun, and I will not illegally
but
go
if
and
you
kill
think- but
someone.
if you think
But
about-
if you
let's-
try to, I'll protect my family.
Yeah, but let's talk about the drug though. We can talk about the illegality of drug, but a doctor can prescribe you a freaking, for just a little tweak, give you a bottle of drugs. Like things were never really illegal. You will find it when you need it. I don't think there's gonna be a way where the government's gonna come and be like, and I think that's where I'm all like, we need to keep the focus from that because that's where they want us to get lost. That's
Yeah,
where
they
and
wanna
you want
divide
to talk
us.
about the government. That's what they want us to get like. They'll have this group that say we're gonna take your gun away, and then they have this group that say we are da 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 da, and then
And
a
this
lot of
group's
us
like, "Come
focus
take
on
my guns
this,
away," yeah.
and then by the time then they've already made a decision while we all are here arguing about this, and they'd already make a decision for us. We have to take away the BS. Like, okay, the focus is let's raise the gun law,
Yeah.
let's make mental health, let's get the resources, and let's not let this government make us fight each other. Because that's what they're doing. They left the breadcrumbs on the table, and then we all are like, da, 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 da.
That's exactly what I've seen on social media,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
it's made me so sad that I've been seeing people multiple people post things like, if you don't want to take away guns, if you believe in the Second Amendment, then you're a child killer. Then you don't care about our
No,
children
that's
being killed. And I'm
ridiculous.
like,
And that
person
why would you pin us
emotionally
against
mature.
each other?
But that's what they
Yeah.
want to see.
But I
because,
think
like,
that's one of the
it.
beauties of this show is that we're
Right.
trying to show and this is the perfect
You can
example.
have difference of opinion.
Yeah, you can have the Second Amendment, you can have freedoms,
You
but you
don't
can
have to
also
have your
have some
agency.
controls, and you can also look at the big picture and get some mental health. No, it's not only a mental health problem.
Right.
It's not
Only
a problem.
focusing on mental health is not going to solve it.
Yeah.
Only focusing on gun laws is not
Is
going to
not
solve
gonna
it.
And that's
solve
why
it.
We have to look at the
be a
big
the whole
picture.
picture. And that's why I say we have to quit, because that's what they've been doing. Put us in a corner, right? Because you have the mental health people that are like, it's just a mental health problem. We just need to focus
It's
on mental
not.
health, and then
It's
we
not.
focus. You know what I
That's
mean?
part of it.
It's part
It's
of it.
a
So
big
we just
chunk.
have to show the big picture of like, if we all come together, and
Bring all of our
and
wisdom.
bring all our wisdom
Yeah.
together, and then there might be something, because we may not like other countries, but it's working for other countries.
Yeah,
Whatever. Can we
yeah.
not look
And see
at
where
what
it's
they're
working.
doing and adapt? We don't have to be
And
exactly
it's not
like
just
them.
the gun laws that are, like, we have
Working.
to look at all of the
Yeah, like
country.
if there's
what
countries
they're-
that don't have gun laws, what other things do they
They
have
do-
that we
that's
don't
work-
have?
Exactly. It
You
just
know?
come together. But I think we are always better. I think that's the big thing about America. They like us to function as a divisive.
Yeah.
They like us to function that we don't agree. And then a lot of the time, that's why I'm just like, I will never go on social media and fight and argue with somebody about where people stand. You have your opinion, I have my opinion, but like if I have to stick to the big picture, because if we don't, they will be making all that decision. And like you said, maybe at one point, because we're so focused on fighting each other, that they did remove the gun law and we didn't even notice, because we are so focused on fighting each other.
hating.
That
Yeah.
exactly, that they already made all the rules, and then
It
we're
kept
like,
us distracted
dang it,
enough.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
dang
Yeah.
it. So we
Okay,
have
here's
to
the
think of
question to
that.
add to this, since we're talking about it. The conversation that I've been seeing coming up is the topic of should we ban AR-15 rifles?
For kids?
Now, from what I read, Clinton actually banned it, but the ban only lasted 10 years. And I don't know the exact stats, but supposedly the mass shootings did go down.
It decreased.
It didn't disappear, but
But
it
it
did
decreased
decrease
quite a bit,
And then
yeah.
after the ban
Lifted.
expired,
Yeah.
then now we've seen the increase
Yep.
again. Now, I was looking at AR-15s, and from what I'm understanding is it's semi-automatic, so they still have to pull the trigger for every single bullet, right? So it's not push the trigger and then just
right.
like you see in the movies, kind of a thing.
But it can
So it's not
reload
like
itself.
that. It's meant for hunting, not necessarily self-defense. It's meant for hunting, but obviously anybody can come and go and get one.
Yeah. So here's
with
my
that, what do
opinion
you guys
as
think?
a gun owner. My husband owns an AR-15, and we also own other guns. There has never been one scenario where we have ever needed an AR-15.
Thank you.
Ever.
Not even for hunting.
No.
Is your husband a hunter?
He is a hunter.
What does
And
he use to hunt?
He
a
uses
big
a
hunter.
shotgun or a muzzle loader, because you don't just sit there and at a deer. It's like you
the
practice, you look for the deer, you hopefully hit him one time. Okay, you miss it, reload 2 or 3. Like,
Plus, it's with
Yeah.
hunting, it's a sport. Like, you want to be a good
yeah, you want to
shooter.
kind of
You
like
want
prove
to-
that you can do
yeah,
it in one
it's
shot.
like a game,
Yeah,
right?
so
you don't just
the friends
blast
of
it all
ours
and
who
hope you
have
get
those
something.
type of guns are really more just like they show them, no one uses
Show
them.
off, yeah.
So yeah,
It's all-
an 18-year-old
it's like a Corvette.
absolutely should not be able to go and
Pretty
buy
much.
that. And as someone who is in the self-defense industry, and I do own a gun, and I would absolutely use it if you came into my house, that's not the gun I would choose.
That's what I'm saying. If somebody come to your house to come shoot you, are you gonna go for the AR-15 and be like, that's what I need? I'm pretty sure your husband.
I mean,
maybe.
yeah, like
But
if
not
it's
whatever
there,
gun's
you're going to go
closest.
for the biggest
Yeah.
weapon, but at the end of the day, I can accomplish the same thing
With the rifle.
with a safer gun.
My thing with it, I just feel like I say, to show it. Like my dad is a gun owner. Like he makes his own bullet. He has tons of guns. Like us, we don't own guns. And we just, it's not our thing,
And that's
you know.
okay,
And
yeah.
I don't judge people for having gun. Like my dad, but like his gun is to show off. And even his same thing. One thing he said that you said that what Matthew thing is like, yeah, come background check me. Come look at my stuff. Like cool. I'll do everything you want me to do because his gun is that. But his thing is the same thing. He's like, an AR-15 should never be in the hand of a teenager.
No.
Because there's no reason why you should be shooting an AR-15. Because
Exactly.
because like the thing that stuck with me, and he said this is like, they couldn't even recognize his children.
I know.
A child had to recognize by her shoes, by the shirt he was wearing,
Because of the
of
damage.
damage that gun can do
Yeah.
to somebody.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, it's way beyond
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
killing
AR-15s
right?
are not.
Yeah,
So
if
it's
you're
like,
going to
why?
possess something that has the capability of that much damage, of taking away people's lives, you better look me in the eyes and I can say, I can promise you I know how I am responsible. Check my mental health, check my bank accounts, check anything you need, that I am a healthy individual who can prove to you, I'll check every box, I can own something so powerful.
Here's something though, when I was doing all the research about things that shooters had in common, they didn't all have depression in common or some mental health issue. They had a crisis in common.
Yeah.
So you could pass that mental health exam
And then have a crisis.
and then go get your
Yeah,
AR-15.
but I could also go as 16 years old, pass the test to drive, and then become an alcoholic and kill a family of 10.
That's true.
Like,
Right.
but the
So
entry
true.
to barrier needs
It's
to
still
be thicker.
minimizing
Right.
where
You're still
most
gonna
of it.
weed out people, and that's the thing is we could raise the law to 25, and this same dude could have went and stole it from his neighbor. I get that. That's a valid concern. Make it harder. Make him go and try to break in. Maybe he would have not been successful. Make this 18-year-old go on a black market and buy an AR-15. I can guarantee you probably wouldn't be able to figure it out. But if you walk into Sportsman Warehouse and buy it, that's not okay.
And I think that's the thing too. You're looking at an 18-year-old. Think of your 18-year-old self. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh
The
my gosh.
mentality, like to be like, I'm gonna go get a gun, and like it's just they're not fully developed
not.
to go. It's like that's why we have drinking age. That's why
Well,
we
that's
have
what blows my
all
mind. It's
these
like,
things.
listen. I'm not gonna let you drink this martini till you're
Yeah.
21. But cool, AR-15.
Here's some AR-15.
That makes
It doesn't make
no
sense.
But then
sense.
that's the other thing. You want to get a driver's license, you have to go and do all these tests. You have to take this year classes, and you have
Right.
to permit for
So
a
many
car that
hours.
is able to kill. Like you say, you make like gun don't kill people, car kill people. But for them to drive that car, they have to do all this stuff.
Which it should be the same.
Which
with
should be
guns.
the same for gun because the
Yeah.
gun have the same capability, just like the gun
To
can
kill.
It can
Yes.
kill people more actually than
If
a
it get
freaking-
killed, then therefore you need to go
Right.
to a
Cars
sister.
kill a lot more people than guns do.
I know,
true.
I know more
But-
often, but I'm saying like with that AR-15,
But I agree with you.
the fact that he's like can just
But the
shoot
fact that you could drive a car and in your lifetime you get in a car accident and kill one person is very rare. But you could get a gun and kill 50 people in 1 minute.
in one day, like even
So the
an hour.
damage is like
You can kill
quicker.
more quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yes, but
And you
it's
could do it
less
over and
likely.
over and over.
It's more likely that I'll kill somebody with a car than it is with a gun.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying when they have that access to the gun, they can make so much more damage within that
Right.
time.
Like
you
if
know?
I'm like, I want to go kill someone and I take my car, I'm not going to be able to kill as many people if I'm like, I'm going to kill someone with a gun.
especially with
Like, it's just more
375
powerful,
rounds,
you
like
know?
I think we all agree more than I thought we would.
I
Yeah,
know.
I think we all understand it's not take the guns all away. It's just make it harder to get.
Yeah.
And it's comprehensive. It's not
Yeah.
gun.
And yes.
Gun laws aren't going to be the solution.
answer. It's everything.
We need to have a comprehensive picture. Look at the
I
big
think, well,
picture.
I think the banning of it too
The
will, it
family.
will help. Maybe that's the AR-15.
The AR-15 specifically,
Like, get
because
it.
that's what I read was that
I'd be okay with an
I feel
AR
like
ban.
all
I'd
of
be
these
okay
mass
with that.
shootings, that's the gun that's in common with all of them.
Well, yeah, if you have to reload a whole bunch of times, it's a lot
you-
harder
you
for you to
lose
do a lot more
momentum.
damage.
Right.
You lose momentum. Someone stops
And
you.
you don't
Someone
have
knocks
to-
it out of
yeah,
your hand. Like 100%. As a gun owner who owns one of those, absolutely ban that gun. I have no problem with that. There's
you know what?
nothing
Though,
I use
politically, it won't because
it for. I know.
But we know why.
But if
Money.
Clinton did it, I don't
Clinton
understand
did
why it couldn't happen
well, we
again.
couldn't do it again. But once again,
But the political climate's
Look,
different than it was.
that's what I was
under
about
the
to say.
why
Clinton
do you think it
Politician
came
right
out?
now-
Yeah, it
politician right
expired.
now, they're all about it because they get on there. Like one guy was saying, like, well, we can't ban guns. We can't even do anything about it because look at 9/11. A plane went into people, killed people. Should we ban the planes? And it's like,
No, but again,
What?
not anyone can fly a plane. But I'm
Exactly.
sorry there are accidents that happen where people
you
get
telling
through.
me an 18-year-old
like,
got to get on a plane
you know?
that they don't know how to operate and fly it and kill all these people? No. Okay.
Yeah, like,
so it's just like
they
we
used
need
a gun to hijack that plane. Thank you very much.
Exactly, yeah.
Like we just need to put this BS. Like as I see him talk, I'm like, I cannot listen to this because you get, and like people on social media, it's just like, come on, that's extreme.
It's like
fighting.
too far one another. I'm like, come together as a
Exactly.
gun owner, cool. Don't take away my
Exactly.
guns, but you can ban a few of them. I get it. Like,
Right.
can we not?
Because
meet
it's
in the
about
middle?
minimizing the damage. Because like
Right.
you could also like if
Yes.
somebody wants to kill somebody bad
They're
enough, and they
gonna
don't
do
have a
it.
gun.
They're gonna figure
They
it
might
out.
take a
Totally.
knife. They might do other stuff. So we can't stop at 100%.
We can't, no.
But we
We can
can
minimize
minimize
it.
how
And
many
I think
get
we can
killed.
slow it down.
Yeah.
And we can.
And
make it
we're all in
harder.
agreements to not take away guns
Yes.
completely.
No,
Uh-huh.
I'm okay
I
with
don't
the
want your gun.
AR-15.
I don't even want.
Yeah.
We don't want your
Vanessa
guns.
doesn't want a
Yeah.
gun.
I don't.
You guys just
I
want
wanted to ask, who do you all own guns?
I
Yes.
own guns.
Yeah, we
Oh,
own a gun,
geez,
not an
yeah.
AR-15. I think it's
all are gun toting ladies
I don't
over
know enough
here.
about it. It's a really big pistol of some sort. I forget the name of it. And actually, my husband actually regrets it. He wished he got a smaller gun because he said it's really hard to find bullets, so he's not able to practice as much as he wants. And he wants to feel confident, you know, if he ever has to use it,
Right.
So, so I think we're actually going to get a smaller one that you can just find more bullets more often, and then actually practice it.
Yeah.
One of
Ammo's hard
those
to find right now.
Ammo's really hard
ranges.
to find.
I don't have a
we
gun,
own-
but don't come to my house.
Yeah.
Don't.
So what are you
don't-
going to do? So let's ask that. Like, somebody breaks into your house with a gun. They're trying to kill your family. Like, what's your plan?
I don't know. I guess defend myself the best that I can.
Verbally.
I know. Like I think.
Vanessa's a talker.
But I think like this is the thing.
This
I
is
think,
so controversial.
I know that's like because people are like, yeah, you come in, people come, like the likely
happens, you know?
of that for me. I feel like it's gonna be rare, but I feel like it's things that you walk in my house, I'm gonna try to defend. Like those people, it happens to people all the time. I don't think you need a gun all the time to defend yourself because somebody may walk to your house and you don't hear the noise and you go and look at it and that person has a gun. They may shoot you first. You know what I mean? I've heard where people have
so
gun
like
and they,
situational.
Well, and if
It's just-
you're not interested in learning how to shoot it and practice,
Then there's
no point
there's no
anyway.
point
That's
of
me.
owning
Like
a
I
gun.
have
Yeah.
no interest in that. So like I'm like, I got a knife. I'm a good talker.
I
why I
own
said
a
verbally.
company on how to teach women how to
Yeah,
protect
defend
themselves
themselves.
without
Like, you know what I
weapons.
mean? Like,
your
bring out
body
that
is your
Haitian
own
sass and, like,
weapon.
tell him how it
you know what I
is.
mean? But I
But
just don't
on the
feel
flip
comfortable.
side,
and I also like, and I'm gonna
I
be
own a
a
gun.
percent
And I would shoot
100% right now. I have a temper, and I am a black woman, and I just feel like knowing that there's a gun in my house, and my husband does something, I'll be like, "What you gonna say? What you gonna say?" I know myself.
Put your hand in
enough-
your pocket and be
Exactly.
like, I got
know
it.
myself in that way. I'm just like, I can be cray cray, so I ain't
I
gonna
love
have
it.
no
This
gun
is
in
too
the
funny.
house.
Guns are not
another
safe.
conversation.
Okay, well, wait. I want to read this. So I have lots of guns. I have my concealed weapons permit. I go to gun
Nice.
classes all the time.
Nice.
I actually love shooting. I love the sport of shooting. I'm actually pretty decent at it. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
But also, you better believe that I'm going to pull that out if I have to protect my children. You better believe that I'm going to jump in front of those bullets. You better believe I'm going to pull out a gun if I have one.
So do you carry your weapon often?
So
as a
no,
concealed
and
carry?
that's one of the things that I need more practice. So I've gone to several multi-day trainings, and I've shot lots, but I still am like,
feel comfortable carrying it around.
yeah.
I feel comfortable yet.
So and it's like right now it's been over a year since I've shot a gun, and so I'm like, I'm not going to carry right now
Yeah.
because, you know what I mean? And I've also taken lots of classes along with learning how to shoot. I've also taken lots of classes about like the legality. If somebody does break in your house and you shoot them, what do?
What are you covered by
Do
the
you
law?
go? Yeah.
wouldn't
How
even
are
know
you
that.
covered?
There's laws
Call the police,
too.
let's-
There's all
somebody broke in and I
laws.
shot.
There's actually a protocol. There's a whole protocol of what you do, what you say on that 911 call, and exactly. I'm a
You
gun
have to let
owner.
them
I
know
have
you
a gun.
have a gun.
Because they could come in and you're holding
holding
a gun right there,
and
and
you got
somebody's
shot.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
So there's a whole protocol. So I've done all of that training. I'm like, I love it. So my husband did a Facebook post after the school shooting. I've been talking to him about it nonstop about the school shooting because I'm like, babe, what do we do? What do we think? Like, let's.
Yeah.
I've been talking his ear off. He posted this, and this is my feelings exactly. He said, on April 22nd, 1999, the day after the Columbine shooting, a then 16-year-old version of me made a promise to myself that if I am ever in the vicinity of an attacker, I will fight back or die trying. To this day, 23 years later, whenever I'm in public place, church, theater, conferences, etc., I almost always ask myself, what will I do if a shooter comes through that door? What can I use as a weapon? What can I throw? How can I surprise him? I try to take a defense handgun course every year, and I try to carry a gun whenever possible. If I'm ever put in a situation where I need to protect innocent people from a psycho, I hope I have it with me. My business partner, he talks about him, made a similar thing. He was in the Trolley Square shooting in 2007.
Wow.
He was there, and now he's become a firearms instructor, and he is a dealer too. He sells guns. So Benton said, I don't know Jacob Alvarado. He's the hero that stepped in the school shooting, Uvalde. But I'm guessing at some point in the past, he made a decision that he would fight. He probably decided he would protect the innocent or he would die trying. Those kind of decisions are rarely made in the heat of the moment.
They take mental preparation beforehand.
Yep, he says, I hope there are thousands of men and women who are right now making promises to themselves that they will fight to protect the innocent or die trying. Call me old-fashioned, but I believe being a man comes with the responsibility of protecting those who can't protect themselves.
And I think,
And
And I think that's right to bear arms right there. That's the point of holding a
Right.
gun, is to protect innocent people, to make that commitment to yourself that I'm going to use this gun to save lives.
Right.
And if that's the goal, then I think that's a
Yeah.
very worthy goal. And I don't think I trust the government in deciding who.
No, I think history has shown
No,
history has shown that that's not
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
something to trust.
But let's
100%.
challenge all of our viewers to step back and look at the big picture. If you find yourself in contention with other people about what's the right way to handle it, we invite you to step back, look at the bigger picture, see how maybe that person that you're fighting with, you're contending with, maybe what points are they right in? What points are you right in? How could solving the big picture, how could we all get involved? How can we all get on the same page and actually make a difference? Something needs to change. Nothing's changed lately.
Right.
Yeah.
We keep having these shootings and nothing's changing. We just
Yeah.
keep arguing about it like
Yeah.
Vanessa was saying.
Yeah.
One of our favorite things on the Brave Talk Show is to actually learn and keep the conversation open. So please comment. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know where you thought our opinion differed from yours. Share and like. These type of conversations are really important and powerful, especially once we give them to you, that you then pass them on, share, and
Keep the
let us
conversation
know how the
going.
conversation
And it helps
keep
us
going.
know that, okay, this video, this episode resonated with you, right? So that we know what kind of other topics to bring up. Your input is what helps us make a great show, right?
Right.
We're able to look and go, okay, they love that, let's do more of that. Let's talk more
Yeah.
about that kind of stuff. So you're very important to us.
Okay, we're going to read a couple comments from you that you guys left on this exact topic from our
Our
Instagram,
Instagram.
and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay. Someone said, unfortunately, gun control will never, and I mean never, get the guns out of the hand of evil. The 2A shall not be infringed. Mental health probably not gun prob. I don't know what that means. The government needs to chill with trying to take away guns. Want more mental health awareness more than banning guns or control. And lives of the children are more important than a hobby. Other countries don't struggle. Don't take them away, but make them harder to get. Mental health background check, etc. More gun registration and less semi-automatic weapons. Older and education for the guns. Don't take away my right to protect myself over someone criminal acts. Like, guns don't kill people, people do. Start with mental health reform. I'm pro-gun. I don't think it's a bad idea to add more into what it takes to buy a gun, like
So exactly
background
what we're
checks
talking
and
about.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in
We're all
the
pretty
same
the
thing,
same,
you
yeah.
know. Like, I don't know why. I think we all kind of have the idea. We just
That
need
we're
to
so
come together.
separated, and
you
it's
know?
like
And bring
we
it
really
together.
are.
Get
It's
it
like,
together
it's
and
a
make something
yes
happen.
and answer,
Yeah.
isn't it? Right?
Let's
Yes
make
and.
let's get involved politically. Like, that's how things happen, is we
Yeah.
have to get involved politically, and we have to get in the schools, and we have to start in our home. That's Vanessa always talks about,
100%.
right?
Starts in the
It
home.
starts in your home, and then let's branch out too.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, thank you for watching this episode. If you guys have a question about anything that you'd like advice on, leave us your questions in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube or message us on Instagram, we literally love to hear from you guys, and we base our episodes around what you guys ask for.
All right, that's a wrap for this episode of the Brave Talk Show. If you're watching us on YouTube, there are more episodes you will love on that window to the right, and we will see you on the other side.
I have some questions for you. Hey, brave girl.